Well, this is a bit of a surprise. I wasn't expecting another Midland Allen 78. They've been doing it since about 1998, 1999. We started with the PR 2794. No, it was PR 2797, wasn't it? So it was 80 channel, UK only, FM only. And then it's got revamped through to the multi, and then it got the we've had various revamps, but we then started with the blue display one, which usually takes 1.5 seconds to key up, and in cold weather the VCO doesn't lock despite everything we've done to make the VCO as centered as possible. So it isn't impressive, but we use it in our test car because it actually works well. I think our test one at 13.8 volts does 3.7 watts, but that car, the electric car, charges its 12 volt system at 14.4, and that radio becomes 4 watts of that. So it is alright, and it does do the CPT set of channels. If I didn't have to have radio in the test car that did CPT channels, in other words, if I had a set which was FM 40 channel UK only, we'd be putting Rotel 230s back in, or the direct other equivalent, which is the Harvard 420M. But sadly, we do sometimes have to test things which are CPT. So, I'm not bothered about the AM part of that, but we do need to check CPT. So this arrived yesterday, unexpectedly, because our instructor to send me all new models, all new legal models. And I wonder what tack we've got in the bag today. 3 Midland stickers. Oh, David. A destruction book. That makes a change. And the kind of junk they're selling at the moment. Well, we've got a picture of a building with some fancy lights. The M20, the 42DS. Oh, is that it? We've got the 4001 they still do for the Italian market, but they've shadowed it out because they're not going to sell it us. And the M20, which we found when you got into the menus, it took 2 seconds to get out of the menus, during which time you couldn't press transmit. We weren't impressed with any of the M range ones, and the more higher up the range they were and the more expensive they were, the worse they became. You just got more features. Have we got anything in English? These aren't like the instruction books used to be. I'm talking like an old codger there, but we've got that. I'm hoping they've addressed the firmware issue where you have to pretend you're in Spain to access AM when in CPT channels in the UK. What's this? Whether or not this is right, I don't know. Yeah. Okay. It's hard to tell what that means. If this works, we'll swap the test car on for this. Now it's got digital squelch, that's the alleged difference, I think. The finish is no longer shiny, and it looks like it's not kind of had all its coats of paint. I've always liked the Midland mic. This type of Midland mic, not the dinky one you got with some of the other sets. The blue is a protective plastic. It's going to be shiny silver. So I'm expecting yet a different board, or does it just have a sub board? That's what we're going to find out. If it's the same board as the blue one, I expect this will be blue too. We're still going to have those VCO slowness issues. Mr. Chippy suggests that the squelch will sample digitally and probably wait half a second before it decides whether to put the message through or not, making the set even slower than ever. So we'll connect the test equipment to the radio. Made in China. Not sure how the date codes work. External S meter socket. We better open it up for starters. These are not coming out smoothly. So I'm not sure whether these are self-threading machine screws because they can't be bothered to. I've got the impression of self-threading. I don't think these have been tapped properly or at all. We have our tapping tool handy for those sets, those cases that are damaged by the wrong screws. God, my hands will be too worn out to play the organ. I'm at Scratchy Corner Church tomorrow, playing for a wedding. Imagine getting married at Scratchy Corner. I think they've got screws in the back, haven't they, these? And I think they're shorter. Yes, they are shorter. So the board's nicely washed. And we no longer have a plug-in speaker. It is a different radio. The board says on it, I'll zoom the camera in whilst my soldering iron warms up. The board says on it Midland 78 Pro 2019, so it is new. So revision 1.2 on this particular one. So December 2019, so it's now July 2021, so it's kind of been in, that's when the board was designed, so you know it's been like just over a year since then. Doesn't mean the radio was made then. So they've got rid of the plug and socket. It might have saved 12 pence there. So what adjustments are left? Clearly we've got the VCO test point there and the VCO trimmer down there. So what we're left with, adjustment wise, is actually labelled. So I'll just come out of the zoom a bit, otherwise he'll all be going sick. So it shouldn't take very long to adjust at all. So we've got transmit, H power, high power I presume, because AM modulation, TX meter, RX meter. So it actually looks like it has a real receive meter, sorry, transmit meter, excuse me. Squelch. Now that says soldered over mod, it'll be FM mod, so that'll be deviation, and it's likely because it's near the VCO and you've got to have your they're normally modulated using varicap diodes onto the VCO, so that's figures that's there. So we'll just see if we can see anything else. Not sure what's down there, if anything, but that's going to be the transmit lineup, and that could be a filter for the second harmonic. On the other hand, there could be something down there, so we'll see. So meters, power, AM mod, squelch, and FM mod. DAS, digital auto squelch. That's what it sounds like. So that chip must be the squelch thing. Let's see if I can see what it says. A35. You know what? The camera system on here is probably better than my glasses and eyes possibly ever could be. So we're going to aim for that. And I'll look up at the monitor. Oh, A358F. Ah, that's handy. I don't know whether that's just some general purpose op amp or whether it is a dedicated tones chip. Let's just see what this one is. I'll just move Monk to where that point is. What's that chip? A358. It's a surface mount LM358, isn't it? So I'll just move the radio to this chip. If I can locate myself. Can't quite read that one. And then finally another 358. Then we've got this will be the FM subsystem, or be probably AM FM subsystem. I thought Taco had finished. Looks like a Taco device. And then the processor, synthesizer, you name it, is there. Right, we'll put the camera to its normal position. Powering it up, and I expect it'll come on EU channels only. Helps if we put the power supply on 13.8 volts. It's on 9.4 volts for the walkie-talkie we were doing yesterday. So yeah, we're in EC mode. And FM only. So we need to reprogram this for the UK, as expected. Man, at least it proves it's a new set. Whether or not it's the same procedure as before. Turn on, play, pressing AM, FM and scan together. Press the AM, FM button to select. So AM, FM and scan. So AM, FM and scan and switch on. And then we rotate the, there we are, UK, AM, FM to lock that in. So there we go. So now let's see what we've got. If we press AM, FM, yeah, its second press puts us now to I. So that's now CPT, and then a short press puts it to AM. And a long press puts it back to the UK only FM channels. So it does now do it, and it kind of, it's not like it's been programmed with a different set of frequencies. It goes into I mode, which is for Italy. So that presumably is what we're supposed to have is in the UK. Anyway, we're going to set this radio on channel 20 of UK because we're not that interested in what it does on CPT channels. But if you were interested in what it does on CPT channels, then you need to do it either on channel 1 of the UK, which is 27600125, or channel 40 of the CPT channel. So you're in the middle of the radio's coverage, which would be 27405, wouldn't it? So this isn't a good thread. I'm actually struggling to start that. And the plug used is the more normal plug that you would buy from an electronic wholesaler, rather than the rather special Midland plug which you enjoyed for many years. So it's an Electret microphone, it says so, and it also says it's made in China along with the radio. Okay, so it's like select picture in picture. Just make sure we're exactly on 13.8 volts. And I'm in the 3 watt scale. Just beyond 3 watts. It is actually 3.0 something. So that's predictable, isn't it? So we need to pop up the transmit power. It'll do 3.5. So if I put the power supply, I'm going to key up and we're going to take the power supply up. Right, we've now got 4 watts, and it's at 14.6 volts. So it'll perform very much like the one we've already got in the test car, that when that vehicle's switched on, it's producing 14.4 volts and the radio will do 4 watts. But it's not like there's anything to spare, is it? You know, you've got the thing at full whack. So that's the first thing. I'll tell you what would be an interesting test. Let's look at the display. So we'll key up, and it says middle of 4, which is fair enough. I'm going to turn down the power. So yeah, it's no longer it doesn't look like it's a real display anymore. So look, if you look at the inset, we're down to 1 watt. In fact, we're down to, yeah, that's 1 watt. No, it's not, it's 2. That's 1.5 watts, that's as low as the radio goes. But this transmit meter hasn't changed. So this radio too now has a fake meter. So with the transmit meter, does it adjust it? Yeah, it does adjust it. So we've now set that to, I'll tell you what, we'll just set this slightly lower. So we'll set it to there, and then we'll play with the power again. It does, it isn't fake. It was just set so high. So take my words back, it does vary. And I'm going to set that. We're pushing 3.5 at the moment, and I'm setting it to 3.5. So if we put the power supply back to 14.4 volts, the radio now says it does 4, which it does. And if we're going to be using this ourselves in the test car, that's useful information. Good. So it does set up and it does read the power. Well, that's one old-fashioned thing the radio still does. Because most new sets is totally fake. Deviation is likely to be very low at about 1.5 kilohertz. While we need to retune the mod meter. We were doing a walkie-talkie yesterday. 1 2 1 2. Wallow is 1.6. So we need to bring that up. Testing 1 2. Whoa, that's far too high. Wallow 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 wallow. That's more like it. We're not doing AM. We're not going on to AM. But if you were selecting a channel with AM, and you use obviously I'm using a deviation meter. You'd use a modulation meter, which everybody in the dog's got. Whereas FM deviation meters are hard to come by. Or cheaper, they're hard to come by, and AM mods there. I've no reason to believe that would be not usable as the radio has come. So we're not doing AM. So what else have we got? That's transmit covered. That was done. Let's have a look at how the receiver's performing. So we'll plug in the instrument loudspeaker and all the other things it's connected to. Now, I've also taken delivery in this same shipment of the Midland 42 DS and portable. A few months ago, we had 2 of those radios come in for optimization from a customer. And I said, I'm not going to do a field test because they're not our sets. and they don't really want them handling, and what happens if we dropped one? There's all that kind of thing. So we wouldn't go out and about with a customer's brand new set, which is here for optimization. So what I've done, I've bought one, and behind the scenes I'll do the retune, the optimization, but we will be doing a field test. Now last year when we got the ordinary Midland 42 before the DS version came out, we never tested it after doing the optimization video because we couldn't find the sample. Well, I know where it is now, so what I'm going to get Mr. Chippy to do is to do the Midland 42 and the Midland 42 DS side by side on the same field test. Isn't that a good idea? Thank you. Right, 79125. I'll tell you what we didn't do on transmit, and that was set the frequency. So we'll do that now. So it should be 2779125. It's 2779128. It's spot on, and the trimmer capacitor is there if we needed to adjust it. So new set, spot on. That's fine. So we'll go back to where we were with the. I don't think there's a detector in these, is there? It's done a different technique. No. We're going to put the cyanide meter on. There are no adjustments for the receive. So it's just a matter of reading what it is and making sure the squelch works. So we have no receive adjustments. So it is 0.76 of a microvolt for 12 decibel cyanide. So it isn't exactly sparkling. So where's the specification? Do I just read this is 24 volts? Yes, it is. Now then. That's going to be an interesting test, isn't it? Yeah, it says 24 volts on the back. Does the box have the specification? Nope. So it does what they want it to do, and they don't tell you what that is. Unless it's in that second handbook. Nope. It's not on the back page, is it? And I've missed it. No, just how to throw away the product when you're done with it. No. Well, to be honest, it sounds harsh. But because it's going to be using a different technique to what we're used to. Let's see where S9 is anyway. That's something we can do. So at the moment it's showing S6. So we do want it to show S9 as 100 microvolts. we've got the attenuator of the signal generator set to 100 microvolts. So we need to adjust the meter preset till it reads S9. Which is there. And it goes, yeah, that's how we want it to track. So we've set that. There is nothing to adjust. So you get what you're given, and we'll look at the squelch. It's almost like AM. Can you hear the background noise? As I've dropped the signal. Let's turn the volume. I'm going to turn the volume up. Now we'll drop the signal off. And it goes quieter, just like AM. And if that's the FM hiss. And that's full volume. It's not normal. So I don't know whether it's being processed, because it does sound like there's digital artifacts in that background noise. So if I switch to digital squelch on, let's see when the signal generator comes in. 3 microvolts, 10 microvolts, 30 microvolts. Fine tune that. This comes in at 6 microvolts. And it leaves us at 3 microvolts. So that's quite a strong digital squelch. Probably too strong for normal use. And then so what is the other squelch preset? It's probably, oh, it might be the range of normal squelch. Now that is wrong, because we're now on full squelch with 100 microvolt S9 signal, and so we want the squelch to come in now. That's now how we want it. So we'll check it at the low end. So turn the signal generator to standby, turn the squelch down. I've parked the signal generator at 0.3 of a microvolt. We'll set the squelch threshold. Switch the signal generator on. It's coming in at 0.8 of a microvolt. It's leaving us at 0.55 of a microvolt. So now recheck this digital auto squelch. See if it's changed with me altering that preset. It's just too strong, that. I'm going to alter it. Right, so I've now altered it so that it's coming in at 9 microvolts. That's still too strong. Let's turn it again. That's too weak. So now it's coming in at about 3.5 microvolts and leaving at 0.17 of a microvolt. That's probably a more useful range. So we've reset the squelch. Not the best sensitivity in the world. Just recheck that once again to make sure I wasn't wrong. 12 decibel cyanide, 0.78 of a microvolt. So what will the radio, what would it actually hear down to? Well, that's 0.3, but it sounds strangled through its digital processing. So I can hear it down to about 0.2 of a microvolt. Well, we're going to do a on-the-air test with this, and we'll see how it goes. We can fit it in the test car because that was the plan. See how quickly it goes into transmit. About half a second. And how quickly will it respond to receive? So I'm going to put a decent signal on. Switch it to auto squelch. Switch the signal generator off. And now switch the signal generator on. So on, pretty instant. So do the on-the-air test. We'll try it in the car. It's the same plugs and mountings, so if it doesn't work out for us, we can always go back. In fact, we could even go back a stage further and put a PR2794 one in from the late 90s, which works a bit quicker with a slightly bigger power output. But it will do 4 watts in our car, but it'll only do 3.6 watts, I think it was. Let's just check again. Yeah, only do 3.6 watts at 13.8 volts on the test bench into the dummy load. So it's not like your York 861. It's not like your Midland Precision series. So we'll put the aerial in. And we'll see if there's any good buddies out there at 10 to 11 on a Friday morning. One on a Roger. Have you noticed how when I'm changing channel it takes half a second from me changing channel to you hearing anything? That's something else you wouldn't have got on an earlier set. So we'll put it back together. So in conclusion, we've got the lids back on and it's sat there. Let's press the scan button. There's somebody probably about 40 miles away there.
They've got everything to look at it right. Me too, but
Right, we'll leave it at that. There's local farmers on 20. I don't know what I still don't get echo mics, because if they were any good, the police, fire and ambulance would be using them, and they're not. Right, thank you for watching the Midland 78 Pro, latest model, 2021, And we'll be putting this in our test car, but we'll be doing a on-the-air test with it first. Thank you for watching.